Mr. Happy Living here, and I'm happy to be broadcasting from WYTV7 in the beautiful Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina, USA. Hey, friends, join me for a minute right now and imagine how incredible it would be to live the life you were put on this planet to live, doing work you love, with people you love, and places you love, and all the while creating something of real value for others. Well, that's what I call a life of significance, and I can tell you it makes a very happy life. And so can two people that I've known and loved my entire life, my parents, Paul and Freda Gersper. Friends, today's episode is unlike anything we've ever done on the Something Significant show. It's a celebration of a love story that stood the test of time, a story of devotion, discovery, faith, and resilience. I'm calling it Constant Change, Always Together. It's an exploration of love and loss, struggle and success, laughter and tears, and every circumstance that must be weathered with grace in a marriage that's lasted 70 incredible years and counting. But before we begin our conversation with my parents, I want to take you somewhere sacred. Recently, I discovered a love letter my mom wrote to my dad for their 50th anniversary, a letter filled with innocence, passion, promise, and a lifetime of devotion. I knew immediately this letter needed to be part of our celebration, and it deserved to be heard, not just read, and not by one voice, but by four voices. Four women who each carry a piece of my mom's heart: her daughter, three granddaughters, three generations of love, four chapters of life, and five Fredas when you include the original one. So before we hear from my mom and dad themselves, I invite you to experience this very special tribute. My sister Linda and my daughters, Kayleen, Shay, and Sydney, each becoming Freda at different stages of her life, reading her words in her voice to the man she's loved for 70 years. Ooh, this is our gift to them and to all of you. So settle in, open your heart, and enjoy this once-in-a-lifetime celebration of a love that's lasted and endured through constant change, always together.
My dearest Gersper, today I will attempt to write you a letter to confirm and to validate my love and my appreciation for the past 50 years that we have shared together. Let's take a look at the very first time I laid eyes on you.
It was September 1953. It was the first day of school, your senior year and my junior year. There you stood, dressed in a pink shirt, navy pants, tie, jacket, and blue suede shoes. You were tall, handsome, and had blonde hair styled in a ducktail. Where had this young man come from? And more importantly, what was he doing in Ottawa? Well, this would be the first day of the rest of my life. I immediately said, not for me. How many times, in looking back, I wonder why I took that approach. I think I felt unattractive and just knew you would never notice me. So if I said not for me, then I could not be hurt. Well, notice me you did. Why, you even helped me with my shorthand assignment while we were in the gym watching the World Series. I thought you were not only handsome, you were also very smart. Gersper, you were 16, soon to be 17 in October, and I was 15, soon to be 16, also in October. Why, you were even on my mother's guest list for a surprise in my very first birthday party. That night, we played some dumb game, and it kept me sitting on your lap for most of the evening. You gave me this cute little pink sweater for a present. I enjoyed wearing the little pink sweater, but somewhere along the way, it seemed to disappear. Perhaps one of my younger sisters claimed it. But I do have the beautiful plaid scarf you gave me for Christmas in 1953, and a few of your letters and cards you sent to me while you were in the military. Soon we would learn that you made the basketball team, and I made the cheerleading squad, remember? It was coming home from our first day away basketball game that you had asked me to save you a seat. I was so excited, but I had no idea what to expect. The school rule was that we couldn't sit together going to the game, but we could coming home. Well, that night I was to get my first lesson in 101 to advanced kissing class. As soon as you were comfortable, you instantly started the class. I thought I was not going to get my breath. Soon I had to tell you no, hold you at arm's length, and turn my head away. I even considered that I might be coming down with the flu or something. Yeah, right. My body was warm and had this tingling or funny feeling, but as fate would have it, I felt better just before we were to reach our school and indicated I might need another lesson or two. You did not have a car, and on several occasions you would walk from your ridge called Mount Joy to my ridge called Tick Ridge. It would always have to ask my mother to drive you home, and I found this to be most embarrassing. Thus, we spent most of our time together at school and school functions. Soon, you started running around with some older boys. Mostly, they were already out of high school. They had cars, they would drink, and it would not include me. One of the older boys happened to be my brother, Ron. On more than one occasion, you would come home with Ron for the night, well, what would be left of the night. The next morning, you would climb onto the school bus right behind me. I was horrified to say the least. I couldn't imagine what tales would fly around the school. I knew that I really liked you, but you did many things that were just against my belief and upbringing. We had a rocky at best relationship during the school year. When you graduated from high school, you went immediately into the army and instantly you started a letter campaign. Even though we had never been on a real date, you wanted to pin me down to going steady. You were sure of me, but I was not so sure of you. Also, it was my senior year. I was a cheerleader and I wanted to have a good time. I had my eye on a basketball player, but he attended a different high school. My mother told me that I had to quit writing to you or stop seeing this other boy. Remember, my mother had to write to you about her concerns to me. I have a letter or two that you sent to my mother. Most of our courting or going steady was through letters. You would write the most beautiful words and words I wanted to hear. You would promise not to drink so much that would work hard, and you even talked about church. You spoke about marriage, children, college, home, and a real future. But nothing would happen. It was all talk in a letter form. When you would come home on leave soon after seeing me, you would go out for the night and drink with the boys. Of course, you would check in with me and reassure me that you were indeed to be my future husband. Sweetheart, I'm just not sure what I saw in you at the time. We never really had a real date, just letters and promises. It truly was a romance of letters. Today, I'm really pleased that I saw enough in you to wait for you. There was something special about you, and I really wanted to believe in your letters and you. Today, looking back, I just shudder. How many times it would appear our togetherness was over. Thank God for our love. Today, I couldn't envision my life without you. So, Grammy and Pop, this is Sydney speaking now. I just wanted to say, reading about your love story has been really heartwarming. 70 years is such a great accomplishment, and I pray I can experience something like that for myself. Your letter contains many hardships, and I have so much admiration for your strength and perseverance through them. It's inspiring to hear how your marriage has overcome struggle and grown stronger for it. I'm so glad I get to be a part of this gift for you, and God, I know God has truly blessed us with a beautiful family that loves each other so much. I'm so grateful to have you in my life. Now we move from Grammy's schoolgirl heart into the years when life got more serious. The big city, the army, Ohio State, and growing up fast. Here's Shay reading Grammy's words from that chapter of her life.
After my graduation, on May 13, 1955, our life started to change. I moved to Columbus and got a job. I would always be there when you came home. Still, you would run around with your friends, and you would tell me you didn't want me in that environment. You could not take a lady to a beer garden. However, on at least one occasion, you would leave me locked in the car, while you and your friends would go into the bar to drink. Looking back, I can now see you really did respect and care for me. I didn't understand the mechanics of the human body and how it reacted to different circumstances. I didn't know why on one occasion, when we were alone in my apartment at 9th and High, you just got up and walked out. At first, I waited for you to return. Only after it was obvious you were not going to return, I remember crying and wondering just what I had done or said. I did not see you again until sometime the next day. Today, I know why you walked out. Today, I'm glad that you had that much respect and love for me. Today, you did the right thing. Thank you, Gersper. Soon we would be married. One day, you won $500 in a card game. You wrote this beautiful letter telling me that I could spend this money any way my little heart desired. Well, even though I was only making $170 a month, before taxes and spending $48 twice a month for my room and board at Residence Hall, YWCA. I was not about to use your money. Neither did I realize you were testing me to see how I would handle this opportunity. So, without delay, I went to the bank and started an account for Paul L. Gersper and Freda M. Goodman. I wish I had that bank book today. I wonder how many times I would draw out the money on my Friday lunch hour, only to put it back during my lunch hour on Monday. You remember, you wrote nothing less than love, devotion, family, and marriage in your letters. When you came home, not a word of marriage. However, I was always prepared, just in case that particular word was mentioned. The day I was waiting for came on one of your leaves when your friend Louis would ask you to go with him and Nancy to get married. It was just the perfect time for us to get married too. This was on December 30th, 1955. But as luck would have it, you, my darling, along with Louis, were just too young to get married without the mother's permission. The four of us did return to Indiana on January 3rd, 1956, but needed to go to Liberty, Indiana, to finally get married. Then it was a little bit of motel hopping all the way back to Columbus. We first stayed in a place called 40 Winks. The next night would find us at the Pearly Gates Motel, and on the third night we find ourselves back in Columbus and staying at the Willard Hotel. Soon you had to return to the military, a married man. Honey, I knew that I had married a real man. Now we could start working toward our goals and our future. What next? We needed to have a baby. Not a smart move with so little money and the future very uncertain. However, our love and plans would sustain us. We had goals, but not necessarily in order. Do you remember when I was living back at home with my parents? I was pregnant and you would come home for the weekends. I remember on a couple occasions, after picking you up at the bus station for your weekend leave, you thought it necessary to park behind the little country church in a very serene atmosphere to tell me about this card game. And this time you were not the winner. On these weekends, you would spend Saturday evening playing cards with my father and brothers. While you played cards, smoked, and drank too much, the baby and I would sit behind your strong body, touching your leg and feeling the world was just perfect. We would be exhausted, but at last we would be in your arms and fall asleep. We could sleep late the next morning and spend a lot of time just the three of us in our room. Why, this loving bride would even shave her man while he laid in bed. My grandfather especially worried about the future for me and our baby. He thought you were too young and irresponsible. You were still drinking too much, gambling too much, and certainly fighting too much. I was sorry to lose my grandfather before you became a responsible man, no longer a boy, a man that could and would take care of his family. On April 19th, 1957, we would have our very first baby. Our baby was just too willing to stay with his mother, therefore the doctor had to help him into this world. He was very fat, with a full head, and his head was shaped funny. You were not there with me, but you would be at our side within a day or so. We believed our son to be perfect. You would name our first son Markham Paul Gersper. We had a real deal going. You would name the children, and I was to give birth to them. Life was good. In June 1957, you got out of the service. We put things into high gear and started preparing for your college career. So the first 1.5 years of our marriage were the military and one baby. The next 10.5 years held for us the loss of our son, Jeffrey Lewis, born and died on June 17, 1960. 3 more babies, all 3 degrees. You earned your bachelor's degree just before the birth of our son, Matthew Bryan, due on June 17, 1961. But as you can see, Matthew was to be born 1 year later than his brother, Jeffrey. But Matt decided he wanted his very own birthday and would sneak into the world on June 4th, 1961. You received your master's degree along with the birth of our beautiful daughter, Linda Jean, born June 22nd, 1964. Linda was born on the 6th month, 22nd day, and on the 6th hour and 22nd minute. Her little band said Gersper Girl, 6/22/64, 6:22 p.m. She had a head of beautiful dark hair, and when the nurse placed her in my arms, they had tied a pink bow on top of her head. She looked a little like Pebbles. Last but certainly not least, our son Michael David was born on July 30th. You see, his head was born before midnight, and the rest of his body would live just after midnight. We were allowed to pick the date of July 29th or 30th. We picked the date of July 30th. Michael was born just before you were putting the final touches on your doctorate thesis. Years later, Michael would marry his wife Sarah, and her birthday would be July 29th. The glue in this marriage needed to be top quality, as the death of our son, Jeffrey Lewis, would be only the first of 4 more deaths during the 60s. Next, we lost my sister, Catherine Sue, at age 19, and her baby, Kathy Marie, at 14 months, on August 21st, 1964, killed in a car accident in Southern California. On May 21st, 1968, my mother, age 51, was found dead in her strawberry patch, and we would soon learn that she had been struck by lightning. After some time fighting cancer, my father, at age 54, would die just 14 months later than my mother, on September 25th, 1969. Sweetheart, somehow we made it through these hard and trying times, and even managed for you to finish college and make a move to California. There were many years, nights of broken sleep, but with much comfort from my strong and loving husband. I could lay there in the quiet of the night and cry without shame. It was times like this that we counted our many blessings, and would learn that behind each and every cloud there was a beautiful rainbow. Our first really big job would take us to the University of California, Berkeley. I don't think either of us could comprehend just how difficult this would be for the children and me. Do you remember how I was packing and preparing to go to California with you? Everyone wanted me to stay in Ohio with the children. Well, you would go to Berkeley, draw a couple of paychecks, find a place for us to live, and then return to get your family. At this time, we were only making $300 of your money, and I was making $40 each week, taking care of 4 extra children. Yes, I had a total of 8. Our rent was $100 per month, and our electric and heat was on a budget, so it was a set amount. We had a budgeted amount for our pennies bill so that we could purchase needs of the children, plus we had car insurance, gas, and etc. My $40 was just enough to handle our groceries, but I had to carry a hand calculator to assure myself I would not go over. Even then, I often had to put something back. Yes, Gersper, times were tough, but so was our love, respect, and devotion to each other and to our children. So it would have been the logical thing to stay behind, but when did we do what was logical? We lived by our hearts. Do you remember Florence Hindi, librarian of the geology department housed in Orton Hall, and where I got my first job the fall of 1957? As I was busy packing and preparing for our trip, not knowing where the monies for this trip would come, our angel, Miss Florence Hindi, called saying it occurred to her that we might need some monies. She lent to us $2,000, and we could choose when we wanted to start paying her back. $2,000. Do you know how much money that was and how much we needed it? And I didn't even have the good sense to realize it. All I truly understood was that we needed to be together, all 6 of us. Miss Hendy said to take our time and to get established before starting to pay her back. Well, we did pay her back, and I do have the note from her telling us that it was paid in full. God has been good to us and has blessed us in many ways. We owed so much money, about the same amount as your first year's salary. $12,500. Why, I remember we still owed money to Dr. Merriman for the birth of our son, Michael. On March 25th, 1968, our little family, Markham was 10, Matthew was 6, Linda was 3, and Michael was 18 months, started our first trip across this beautiful country. We had just recently purchased a used red station wagon for the trip, and along with a U-Haul trailer, our 4 children, a few household goods, 3 degrees, and a boatload of books. California, here we come. This is Shay speaking now. Grammy and Pop, I love you both so much. I'm deeply grateful to have been able to read part of this letter to you, and even more so that I get to consider myself part of your legacy. Watching you love each other and experiencing your love for me taught me what devotion is. I'm blessed to be your granddaughter. Thank you. Next comes Grammy and Pop building their life together in California, school and sports, university work and school boards, creating a home and a family, laughs and tears, and always love. Always love. Kayleen will read this part of Grammy's letter from those full and busy years.
So, sunny California would be our home for not 1 or 2 years, but to date about 37 plus years. I'm not sure when we might leave California, but I believe our daughter Linda has a good idea. Lafayette, California was to be our first place to live. I was just sure all of the neighbors would rush over to greet this neat and new little family. Of course, we did move in just 1 minute past midnight, quietly, I'm sure. As our life so goes, we did not have any more monies for a motel or hotel. The house we were about to rent was in a realtor's hands and would be released at midnight that very day. And of course, during the first few nights, I slipped my arm out of place and lay screaming for you not to put it back, but rather take me to the nearest hospital, which was in Walnut Creek. We had to get little Mark up and ask him to take care of the little ones, and of course, take care of the house until we got back. I believe you left me at the hospital and came home to get the kids before picking me up, looking all funny with my arm in a sling. And if all of this was not good enough for the children and me, you, my love, would go shopping after your day's work to purchase furniture for our home. The children and I were left sitting in Lafayette, no monies, no car, empty house, just waiting for you to come home. One of the first things you would purchase was a colored television set, a console. It did afford us a choice of entertainment, be it television or a board game. We would have popcorn and Kool-Aid for snacks. As I mentioned, you would leave the university and shop for our furniture. My opinion was just not needed, so you thought. You decided not to purchase someone's used furniture, but that you wanted new redwood patio furniture for now, and when we replaced it with new furniture, the patio furniture could go outside. Great idea, not too comfortable for daily use as furniture. We spent much time down on the floor. During your workday, Mark and Matt would go to school and Linda and Mike would stay home while their mother would clean the empty house. It would not take long for me to clean my house. Why, every so quickly I would run my sweeper. It would now be called a vacuum cleaner here in California. Well, point being, it did not take long to clean the house. Next, you came home at noon on this day to tell me that my mother had died. Quickly, you purchased tickets so I could leave for Ohio. I think some of the university women helped you with the children. It probably was quite shocking to see this new Professor Gersper's home. Again, not much except babies and degrees. When I returned back to California, you had to leave for a 6-week field trip cruising around the state, learning the soils in California. On top of everything else, I failed my first California driving test. I felt even more of a failure. This is a very sad and lonely time for me, and of course, not a great time for our children. It was not uncommon to see me pulling Linda and Michael around town in a little red wagon with me crying at each step. It was a most difficult time for me. I just wanted to return to Ohio State, put you back into school for more degrees, but no more babies. You see, I felt safe in that environment. Also, being poor was normal while being a student. Being poor was not fashionable in Lafayette, California. You were not as involved in the daily lives of the children and me, but we did look forward each night to your return home from the university. We now had a daddy to read to the children to help put them to bed. While at Ohio State, especially as you were finishing up your schooling, you were not home till late at night. Looking back over the past 37 or so years, I know that California has been a great experience for us, even though we would still have about 3 more moves before purchasing our very first and only home. At last, the children were told they would all finish school before another move. The children would still have time to make some friends to carry with them into their adult lives. Our children did okay in school, and they all excelled at sports. I was able to involve my life in the children's affairs, working in the schools, being in the PTAs, and even running for the Walnut Creek Board of Education and winning. I served 8.5 years on that board. We traveled with the children swimming, basketball, track, gymnastics, and of course, football. I think we both are very appreciative of our children sharing their school and sports with us. I often wish I had been a little more aggressive in their schooling, but back in those days, we trusted the teacher. If our kid got in trouble at school, they were in trouble at home, no questions asked. Lucky for us, we were able to purchase a home in about our 16th year of marriage. The Peterson house served us well. I have, and I hope that you have many pleasant memories of not the house, but the home we raised our 4. Many laughs, many tears, much love, often screaming, sometimes together, and others feeling all alone in this world. Much growing, not only by the children, but I personally went through a terrible growth stage. Today, I can't imagine me walking to class at Mount Diablo College with a guitar swinging over my shoulder. I hated you and I hated my parents for not being allowed to go to college. They would not give me the monies, and you wanted a housewife, a mother. Strange things happened while on this journey called life. Back in those days, I no longer wanted to be known just as the children's mother or Mrs. Paul L. Gersper. I wanted to discover who this woman named Freda Goodman Gersper was and what she wanted to do with the rest of her life. Well, as Freda Gersper, I served on many community boards, and I was president of most of them. I received many awards for my service. One I particularly enjoyed was the Woman of the Year of Contra Costa County. Having the opportunity to spread my wings, I now look back and realize I had it all: mother, wife, and my very own identity. Being the mother of your children, our children, Mark, Matt, Linda, and Mike, has been the highlight of my life. For most of our 50 years, being your wife has been a fascinating trip. Of course, there have been times, but once again, our love was able to sustain. Hi, Grammy and Pop, it's me, Kayleen. Happy 70th anniversary. Hearing about some of the first 50 years of your story in Grammy's words means a lot to me. Some of my favorite memories with the both of you are you cheering me on at swim meets, coming to visit me in college. Our family trips to Disneyland and hanging out in your motorhome, playing lots of card games, and just sharing memories. I love you both so, so much. Now, sorry, Aunt Linda. Now we come to the final part of the letter, the years of second changes, deep gratitude, reflection, and legacy. Here's my Aunt Linda reading Grammy's words from her later chapters.
The year of 1995. We wanted to sell our house to our son, Matthew. I had the bright idea it would put our two grandchildren in one of the best school districts. And for me, I would have two of our grandchildren and we could watch them grow up. Soon our son was transferred to Kansas, and even though I was angry for a year or more, it was the best thing for Matt and his family. I cried much over the loss of Caitlin and Kyle. I sure would say, I don't care if Matthew and Victoria leave, but I didn't want Caitlin and Kyle to leave. You see, Matthew had always said he would not leave the Bay Area. We went ahead and put our home on the market. A year later, it sold to a family who also wanted the school district. Then Gersper, we moved to Rossmore. We knew this was the right move for us. We could just lock the door and travel. I again got to live in a home that was on a hill, not quite Tick Ridge. However, it came with an incredible view. Little did we know that you would have a heart attack the following year. Gersper, I don't believe you would be here with me today had we lived at Peterson Place. The response time for the medic and the fire department was immediately. They knew exactly where our house was and had entered it before I even knew they were on the premises. Remember when we purchased our Rossmore home, we called it our Love Nest. Well, you even gave me a checking account called our Love Nest account so that I could purchase things for our home. My very first piece of Yadro also was called Love Nest. Life felt rather good. Your life was spared, and we live in a vacation home every day. Dark days would hit us once again. My brothers, Ronald, 63, and David, 57, would both die of cancer. First Ronald in 1999, and David 16 months later in 2000. Gersper, I always will be grateful I could go home and help my nieces and Linda take care of David. I know it was a bit of a hardship on you, but I really needed to be at the bedside of my brother. It was so fortunate to be in a place in my life that being there was a possibility. It was one of the most difficult things I have ever done, but I would do it all over again. Not long after, we would lose your father, also of cancer, in January 2001. Yes, Gersper, It has been a marvelous trip these past 50 years. Our children are all grown up. I believe each of them in his own or her own way is a leader in their community. Each one is very beautiful or handsome. They are smart and they stand out in most crowds. They each have a healthy attitude about life and are good parents and super role models, not only to their children, but children in their individual communities. The four families have given to us 8 very special grandchildren: Kayleen, Michael Jr., Markham, Kyle, Emily, Mallory, Jeffrey, and Paige. We try to see each family for some time each year. This has not always been possible, and it's caused me much unhappiness and pain. Seeing our grandchildren once a year is not adequate. Not seeing them for 1 to 3 years or more is just wrong. Looking back, I see very little I would change, even having all of this new information. One could disagree with our trip. Perhaps one might think we should have gone off to college before having any children. One might think to have children later is not the answer. I don't think we thought much about it. I think we followed our hearts and our goals. And just as this letter has bounced around a bit, so in our life, we were not always in the right place to take advantage of a situation that perhaps might have made life a little easier. For example, we only owned one home. We did not take or have the advantage of buying and selling in a market that would give us a bigger and better home. We just made do with our one and only family home. It worked for us, right? I'm truly happy you are the father of our four children. You have provided financially for us and also provided love and encouragement to me and each of our children. Gersper, I know that on numerous occasions I have indicated that you fall short on the attention I need. You see, I have a sickness, be it eating or watering of plants or baking and cooking, exercising, cleaning, or whatever. If a little bit is good for me, more is a whole lot better. You see, no matter how much love or attention you might give to me, more is definitely wanted by me. I am sure you remember the pie I made for your major professor, Dr. Nick. Speak about more being better. Again, another deal and another story. Our path has given us, especially me, many detours. I have a certain sadness in my heart all the time for the loved ones I have lost. I need only to lose a good friend and my past becomes a headliner of the day. We have lost a lot this year. We have lost Jackie and Hob and now Chris. In ways, I have lost all of my loved ones yet another time. I'm grateful you have always been there to support me. Looking back, I now realize they were not only my losses, but you felt a heavy part and a loss too. You put yourself aside and took care of me and my needs. Thanks, Gersper, for just being you. Thanks for allowing me to always be able to count on you and your strength. I am glad I was at your side while you went to Ohio State. The experience has surely broadened my knowledge. It has put us in a much better environment in which to raise our children. For that, Gersper, I am not only proud of you, but I thank you. I believe our children also realize you have given to them both opportunities and choices in their lives. I know for sure Matthew feels this way. On his last visit to Ohio, and more importantly, the visit to Tick Ridge, he thanked us for not raising him there. Of course, there was no question that had I stayed in Tick Ridge, there would not have been our marriage, and most assuredly not our 4 children. Life would have been a nightmare. I would not have known any difference. Thank God I left home, and thank God for sending Gersper my way. Gersper, looking back over the 50 years, I find them to be most exciting, motivating, inspiring, stimulating, and thrilling. Sad at times, but each experience made us stronger, and the people we are today, these past 50 years, have been well spent. Army, marriage, first child, college, and a baby with each degree, first job, and soon our very own home. This provided for our children security, stability, a place to stay within one school district until each graduated. Wow, what a trip. Before you realize, there we were knocking on retirement's door. After your heart attack on July 8th, 1997, you started looking into retirement. You did a good job negotiating our retirement. I forgot just what year you did retire, but I remember I quit work after the death of my brother, David. Life is just too short to let a job, especially a retail job, tie you down. By finding us both retired allowed yet another change in our life. For the first time, we found ourselves working together for a service club, the Rossmore Lions Club. I wasn't too sure about us both in the same club, but now I realize we make a really good working team to serve. You were the best president our club has ever had, and many of our Lions agree with me. Gersper, I do love you. I have often said I would not take $1 million for you, but that I would not pay a dime for another man. I thank God for sparing your life on July 8th, 1997. God has a purpose for leaving you here with me. It is my plan to fulfill this purpose and to live each day as if it might be our last. I look forward to the new challenge, new directions, or a different path to walk down together. I pray that God will direct us. Just as God has been at our side for the past 50 years, I expect him to be at our side as we approach this last leg of our journey, the golden years. I wonder what that means. We have fulfilled all of our goals. We need to take a look at some new goals that will give us a new purpose to life, to living. It is not enough that we can travel, although travel is important to me. We are not pursuing a career. We are not responsible for our children or our grandchildren. I guess we're here to live each and every day to the fullest. We need to love each child, grandchild, and especially each other, just as if today will be our last. I want to face each day with a purpose. Yes, today, I know that my love for you has only deepened. I had no idea one could love another so much. Our kids have a good set of parents. We did the very best we could, plus 10% more, right? Gersper, writing this letter has been a journey. I have fallen in love with you all over again. I have pulled out pictures of our past, and for just a moment, I want to go back. I want to be held like you held me the very first time. I want to feel the miracle of being a parent. The birth of our children has to be the utmost spiritual and the best gift that God could ever give us. Paul and Freda. Our babies are really special, and they have made the last 50 years extremely special. Gersper, each time I read or correct something, I find myself wanting to write even more. I need to realize that this is not the final letter. It is just, it is not even the closure of this chapter. It is merely a letter our daughter has asked us to write to each other. A love letter, she said. I thought, oh, very silly. Now I recommend all couples write to each other many times during the journey called life. Looking back just one more time, September 1953. Why did you come to Otway? Why was there an intense spark jumping back and forth between us? Why did God pick you to be the love of my life, my husband? I do not question anymore. I am just accepting it. I am just so satisfied with life. Gersper, just as September 1953 was without a doubt the very first day of the rest of our life. Tomorrow is the beginning of our journey down life's golden pathways. Gersper, I realize that writing this letter has not been adequate. The words just aren't coming out the way I want them to. I can express how much I love you and how much my love has grown over the years. I am so grateful. Thanks for loving me. Let's make each day a holiday. Yours and yours alone, your wife, me. P.S. For Thanksgiving 2005, we're going out in our motor home named Rosie. Next, we will take a cruise around the Hawaiian Islands to celebrate our past 50 years. I'm looking forward to both trips. I look forward to our plans and our goals for the next 30 years. I love you. Mom and Pop, it's your daughter. I just want to thank you both for being the shining example of what loving each other through the good times and the hard times look like. Gary and I hit 40 years of marriage this year, and our daughter Paige found the one that bounces sparks back and forth between them, and she married her Jake this October. I hope that our Father's hand stays firm on both of you and that you can feel all the love of all your children and your grandchildren. Just know that you are leaving a legacy and an example that matters. And I love you very much.
Wow. Linda, thank you. Kayleen, Shay, and Sydney, thank you. I've been crying for about 30 minutes here. What you four just created wasn't simply a reading. It's like a living bridge, a gift, a beautiful retelling of Mom's heart through 3 generations of Fredas. Hearing Mom's words spoken by each of you at different ages with different voices, carrying the same devotion, made her words come alive again, like time folded in on itself. And we were allowed to step back into their love story, a love story now 70 years in the making. And to the original Freda, Mom, your letter is a treasure, a window into who you were, who you've become, and who you still are today. Every line carries that innocence you wrote about, that spark you felt in 1953, the gratitude you express again and again, and that fierce, joyful, generous love that's carried our family through every triumph and every storm. And Dad, the man she wrote it to, you've lived a life worthy of her great love for you. Your integrity, your strength, your steady devotion, they made her letter possible. They made this moment possible. And now for our listeners, a quick note. The conversation you're about to hear with my parents was recorded before the Four Fredas tribute was even conceived. So my parents are experiencing this love letter moment for the very first time, right now, inside this completed episode, just as you are. They didn't know it was coming, so they can't react to it in the interview. This was created as a surprise gift for them to receive, not to respond to. And that's exactly how I wanted it. So now, with hearts full, with gratitude deep, with a profound admiration for this extraordinary love, let's begin the interview with my parents. Constant change, always together. Mom and Dad, welcome to the show.
Hi.
All right, I'm going to get us started with a poem that we created to represent the beginning of your relationship, your new life, your new love, and endless possibility. We named it Becoming Together, and it goes like this. It started so simply, a smile, a glance, 2 souls drawn together by fate, not by chance, through laughter and letters, young hearts intertwined, building a vision of love, life, and time. From vows softly spoken to a home where love grew, each child a reminder that dreams can come true. Through sleepless nights and mornings anew, they birthed not just family, but purpose too. For birth is much more than the start of a name. It's the courage to change while love stays the same. With new homes and adventures, each joy and each test, Becoming Together, Paul and Freda's Lifelong Quest. So, Dad, let me start with you. Please tell our audience about Becoming Together, how you met, how you courted Mom, and began your dreaming of a life together.
Well, I had enlisted in the Army. I was 17, and my grandfather needed me to go down take care of my grandmother because there was a mistake made in his retirement. So he said, well, why don't you do that, and then you can and then go to your duty station. So I did. And while I was there, I went to see the recruiting sergeant, and he said, I tell you what, why don't you go ahead and stay in high school? Because I had another year to go. And then when you graduate, I'll call you. But it turned out he called me the day after I graduated. But in the meantime, I was at Otway High School, and little tiny high school. And I was a pretty good athlete, so I played on the basketball team. And Freda was a cheerleader. She was 1 year behind me as a sophomore. But I didn't know Freda at first, so that was my first day there, and she had been there for years. Anyhow, they had what was an assembly for the start of the school.
Mm-hmm.
And when I walked into the gym, it was held in the gym. When I walked into the gym, for some reason, she looked at me, and I fell in love immediately.
Very good. And how about you, Mom? What memories, Dad, before we go on, what was your high school football or basketball number?
Oh, my jersey number was 44.
44. Okay, let's remember that, folks. And so, Mom, how about you? What are your memories of first meeting Dad? What drew you to him? Why were you looking at him? And what did you dream about your life together, how it might become?
Well, I looked at him because he was a new face in a country high school. So that's why I looked at him. I didn't think much about him myself. He didn't fit the environment. He was dressed with a tie and shirt and blue suede shoes and ducktail, blonde hair, 6'2", you know.
A looker.
You couldn't help noticing him in a country school. Yes, he was very nice looking guy. So I in my mind, I thought, well, no, not for me. And but as time went on, I guess he was for me, you know. And so that's what my first glance.
Very good. While we're talking about first, Mom, you've experienced many kinds of birth, the birth of your love, of your marriage, of your children, and of the life you and Dad built together. So what does birth mean to you now, looking back over all these years?
You're asking me or Dad?
You.
Okay. Well, a new beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And a beginning that will need nurturing. And excitement to look forward to. If it's birthing of a plant, to watch it grow. If it's our baby, you nurture and feed it and watch it grow. When you come to love, you have to nurture it and feed it.
Yeah, very good. How about you, Dad? What comes to mind when you think back about the idea of birth throughout your entire life?
Well, I haven't given it much thought, but I more or less agree with what Freda said. And one thing always said I came from a divorced family.
Mm,
And I said that if I get married and I have a child, I would never, ever even consider a divorce. In fact, I would fight it. I believe when you have a child, you have an obligation to do everything you can to give that child a good life as best you can and provide as many opportunities as you can. And I think I did that pretty much with all my children. Basically, what I believe.
very good. All right, Dad, let's expand on the word birth to include, like Mom talked about, new chapters, new beginnings, and share a few of the things that you've faced in your 89 years, moments that stand out of new beginnings that shaped the man you are today.
Well, I'm going to preface this with a statement, and I don't know why, but from the time that I can, far back as I can remember, I always believed that everyone was an equal, regardless of their situation.
Yeah.
And I, for some reason, always got in some trouble over it. I defended people, particularly people that had afflictions, and women, as Freda can tell you. I always promoted everything, every job I had, I promoted women. And in those days, the women had a harder time. So, and then the other thing is that I always, for some reason, never had any fear. And so whatever situation I was in, if something drastic happened, I was able to control it because I controlled the situation, and then I was fearful. Afterwards,
Gotcha.
I got through that thing.
Yeah.
And we had I had some experience that and once that came into play.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Okay, Mom, what about you? What moves or career shifts or adventures brought out in you your own strength and growth and power that surprised you?
Well, from the time we got married, we always planned on going to Ohio State. So when the country girl goes to the city and then goes to the university, you have to come up with some changes. And you have to grow up a little bit with every step. I think the way my life developed, I developed with it.
Yeah, very good. All right, Mom, final question on this section where we're talking about new life and new love and endless possibility. You and Dad have experienced so many beginnings together, new homes, new jobs, new family members, grandbabies, great grandbabies. What have all those fresh starts taught you about how to truly begin again and again?
Well, each birth was in its own right a new beginning. And so with each birth, you nurture it and you grow with it also, whether it's a baby or a plant or what. I don't know.
You just celebrated them.
Pardon me?
You just celebrated them as they came along.
Yes.
Very good. Dad, your thoughts. How have you learned to keep beginning again, side by side, with Mom over all these years?
Well, first of all, I always, regardless of what I did, I always considered Freda a partner. And as she was telling me, I went to, got 3 degrees in college, up to a PhD. And always, anyone would question me about college, I always use the term we instead of I. So I always consider her a partner. And of course, she kind of reluctant about that. But, and actually, I think that kind of helped her some degree, because in many respects, she also has a PhD. I mean, she's learned on her own. She's like, I always think about her, Abraham Lincoln, the female Abraham Lincoln. And she's really accomplished on lots of, I mean, I knew lots of women that had college education. In many ways, she exceeded them in the things that she's accomplished. Well, she even ran for public office. Yeah. So, well, while you got your 3 degrees, you also had 5 children, lost a child, yes, and was raising 4. So you certainly didn't do all that by yourself. No, that's right. Yeah. Very good. All right. Thank you very much, Mom and Dad. That ends our first section. So we'll take a quick break.
Are you ready to transform your life? At happyliving.com, we've discovered 4 keys to help you live with purpose, joy, and significance. Unlock your truth with the Happy Quiz. Unlock your happy formula with inspiring stories from the Something Significant Show. Unlock your roadmap to happiness with our free ebook, Making Your Mark of Significance. And unlock your inspired life with our life-changing e-course, The Philosophy of You and Your Inspired Life. This is your time to shine. Go to happyliving.com now and click Unlock the Power of You. Unlock your power. Live your best life. happyliving.com.
So now let's dive in to the challenges of change and loss, and yet staying together through it all. I'd like to explore some of the endings that taught you lessons about the constancy of change and how loss can deepen love and togetherness. So first, our poem for this section, and then we'll get to some Q&A. We're calling this one Through Every Season, and it goes like this. The years bring both sunshine and shadowed skies. Love learns to endure when something dies. They've buried parents, friends, and dreams, yet found his grace when life careens. In moments of sorrow, they reached for each other, finding peace in the embrace of the other. Through grief's long night, they learned to stay, letting love, not fear, light their way. For life is a river that cannot be stilled. It teaches surrender more than will. Through loss and change, they came to know that letting go is how their love can grow. So, Mom, let's come to you first. You and Dad have experienced the inevitability of loss, a child, your parents, friends, and beloved pets, and cherished dreams, too. How did those experiences shape your understanding of love and commitment over time?
Well, because we lost our second baby after I was involved in a car accident, he only lived for a few hours. I remember just laying in the hospital, and I was just, crying and fighting everything within me, fighting it, but it wouldn't go away. It just didn't go away. And laying there, it came to me that, Freda, you have a husband and a 3-year-old. You need to get healthy and go home to your child and husband.
Very good. And Dad, how about you? What stands out most to you from those times of loss, and how did they change the way you love and live today?
Well, going back to the loss of our son, I and her mother watched him die.
Mm.
And
Mom's mom.
yes,
Hmm.
my mother-in-law.
Yeah.
And I say he actually was sure that if he'd have been in a better hospital,
Mm.
he probably would have survived, but he didn't. And I regret that to this day, because Freda never got to see him. And because we decided that we would go ahead and we thought it would hurt her. And so we arranged to have him buried.
Mm.
I got a little casket. I dug the grave myself.
Mm.
I've learned that and we take care of his grave. We got a tombstone for it, and we've done our best to take care of it.
Yeah.
And you're going to be there, or of me. And yeah,
Yeah.
it was a tough fall.
Tough loss, and that was 65 years ago, and still all the emotion.
Oh,
Um,
oh yeah, never goes away.
yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice.
No, it's okay. You're doing great. You're doing great. Okay, Mom, let me come over to you. You and Dad have been through devastations and tough times together, Jeffrey for sure, but many others. And so how did you process the grief, both separately and as a couple? And how did you keep supporting one another through the enormous pain, even when it affected each of you maybe in a different way?
Well, it definitely affected us differently, or very different, and but I think, I don't know why, but hardship or something of that sort brings closeness automatically.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, when I needed support, my closest was no one but him. It was always Paul. And with no matter what, when I lost my mother, when I lost my sister, I always had to go to Paul's shoulder for that kind of support. And you don't really have to say anything. And that's a good thing, because he doesn't say much. But you don't have to say anything. You feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking this morning, you know, God is on faith. We were not on this world to see Jesus when he walked on earth. And I think marriage too takes faith. Faith in that person.
Wow. Very good. Dad, so what's helped you both get through those hard times together? What role did your faith, Mom just mentioned it, what role did your faith and your shared values play in helping you stay strong through all the pain?
Well, you know, Mother has always been a good person. She's good. I couldn't have a better wife. I've always told her two things that I think about her. First of all, she's the nicest person I've ever known. Bar none. And she's a great mother and really, I mean, she's just a nice person. So I rely a lot on that. I mainly thought about her whenever these things happen, and that got me through.
Yeah, that's good. Thinking of others helps you a lot.
Yeah.
So, Mom, as you look back now, what wisdom or life lessons can you share about enduring the loss of a loved one or a cherished dream? What can you tell us about learning to release and to forgive and to carry on, power through it?
You know, that too, for me can be, not now, but it has been very hard for me. Because when I sit between my mother and my husband all the way to the hospital to have the baby, I was only 18 years old, and I prayed to God silently, God, I want to accept whatever is your choice. Well, I didn't expect the choice to be my baby would die.
Yeah.
And so I was angry for a long time at God also with this baby's birth. But see, you finally have to, you can't live in grief. You got to get out of it. And it's not fair to those around you for you to do this. So I think that you, what you learn is birth, life, death, it's all automatic. It's all going to come, and you accept each step as you go with it and do the best while you're in that step.
I'm personally very happy that you moved on from Jeffrey's death. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here with you right now. Dad, what have you learned about releasing, forgiving, and carrying on after major loss?
Well, I always think the best of people. That helps. And and I can't really think of anyone that has died, if that's what we're talking about, who I thought needed forgiveness. Maybe my father, perhaps my father. My father had divorced my mother when I was only 14 years old, and left. He went into the Marine Corps, and I didn't see him for years. And then he married another family and raised another family in Kentucky. And so there was some forgiving that had to take place there. And so, but then we became pretty good friends after that, mainly because Freda insisted that we do this. And we gave her children, because she wanted her children to know her, my father. That was the main reason. And she really pushed hard.
Yeah, brought him back in the family.
She brought it back in the family. And then he didn't have much money, but we paid for his airfare to come out and visit us every year.
I remember.
From Ohio to California.
I remember Grandpa when he died too. I remember Kyle was playing the saxophone at the time, and Kyle put together all that compilation of different versions of Amazing Grace.
Yeah, my father wanted, the only thing he wanted when he died was he did not want to have the usual funeral and the funeral. So he said the only thing he requested, that he wanted Amazing Grace to be played continuously, 24 hours a day for 2 days. Something like that.
Wow.
And so Kyle, my grandson, came up with about 20 versions.
I remember.
And then the other thing he had, because he got divorced, my father was a Catholic. And he was, what do you call it? Annulled.
Altar boy?
Yeah. And so, we were visiting Italy, where your sister was stationed. So we actually went to the Vatican and got a rosary that was blessed by the Pope. And so when my father, because he was poor, didn't have very good clothes, so they had him dressed they were dressing ugly outfit. So I had just bought a brand new suit, and I gave it to the funeral representative dressing in my new suit, and so he really looked good. He had the rosary in his hand, and Amazing Grace.
Playing continuously. That's great. So, Mom and Dad, you've both seen so much life and loss. What have all those years taught you about how to live fully in the face of death and how to keep choosing life and each other no matter what changes come? Mom, let's go to you first.
Well, I know what I'm going to say might be different for today's
right.
with my young great granddaughters and great granddaughters to come, but I always had, my husband was my rock, so no matter what happened, I knew I had him. And then I knew I had to build out from that and make life meaningful, and that life, I learned that death is permanent. And so you try to do your best and get over it, and then you have to get on with living. No choice.
Yeah, very good. Dad, how about you? What have the years taught you about living fully in the face of death and about choosing life and love over and over again every single day?
Well, first of all, like I say, I don't have any heart-racing animosity to people, and so someone dies, you grieve. I grieve. And Mother can tell you most of my grief I do privately, and not that I'm ashamed of it, but it's just my nature to do that. And then I agree with your mother. Your life, regardless of what happens, you gotta keep living.
Yeah.
And so you're inspired, of course, to do better, try to do better, improve your life, improve your attitude toward people. And so basically that's it. That.
Very good. Wonderful. Thank you, Dad. We will take a break.
We are a community broadcasting network based in North Carolina, dedicated to providing accessible educational content to benefit everyone. Here at WYTV7, our mission is to provide transparency and integrity, sharing real-life touching stories that matter. We are an all-exclusive and diverse network, assisting others in youth empowerment training, helping the underprivileged, supporting and strengthening families and individuals, self-help awareness, giving scholarships, and helping essential community workers. Our mission is made possible by our wonderful volunteers, as well as supporters like you. Consider donating or volunteering with us to help us keep our mission going.
All right, now let's move on to one of the most powerful chapters of your story, We're calling this Second Chances, the fragile gift of time. And God has a way of reminding us just how precious each moment really is. Sometimes his reminders come softly, and other times they arrive like the blast of a thunderbolt, or you could say a heart attack. Dad, your heart attack on the morning of July 8th, 1997, nearly took you from us. But it also seemed to bring you and Mom something profound, kind of a renewed awareness that love, faith, and time are never guaranteed. So first, as always, we'll begin with a poem that we created for you, just for the two of you, and then we'll explore how this experience reshaped your lives and deepened your love. We're calling this one Second Chances, and it goes like this. When breath grows thin and moments are few, God whispers gently, let's begin anew. From darkness and fear, a heartbeat returns, a sacred reminder how the soul still yearns. Dad opened his eyes and Mom held his hand, two hearts reborn by God's own plan. Through tears and faith, they made it through. Each sunrise since a miracle too. Now time feels so fragile, a holy embrace, each day together, a moment of grace. For love's second chances, both tender and true, teach us to cherish what God himself renews. Whew, I have a hard time getting through that one from the time we wrote it until every time I read it. So Dad, I know you've told this story before about that day and the day of your massive heart attack, but I don't think I've ever asked you how you felt, what it was like as you were going through those very moments. So can you take us back to that summer morning, 28 years ago, if you can believe it, what you remember about that day, and then what did you learn about life on the other side of nearly losing yours?
Well, it's kind of interesting. One of the things that happened when I had a myocardial infarction, which is called the widowmaker. 3% survival rate. So the 3%er, and I had fallen and I passed out, and Mother got me into where there was a telephone, and called, and then where we lived, they had people there, and they came even before they came. But it was a very strange experience because I had they used those paddles. And my heart kept stopping, and they get it. She says, I don't remember that, but I don't remember yelling or anything. He said every time I got hit, I sounded like a sissy.
Oh.
He did. He yelled when he got paddled.
Yeah.
But that was a good thing.
Being unconscious.
Yeah.
I learned that, of course, if you have that kind of heart attack, it's kind of a blessing in a way, because you can die and not even know it. And but the other strange thing is, I had experienced 3 other times where I was very, very close to death, not unconscious or anything, but someone saved me. And this time, I had my whole life was going as they were reeling me out. And my whole life was going by, and I saw a long tunnel with a light at the end, and I kept going toward that tunnel. And as I went by the tunnel, my whole life experience flashed before my eyes. And interestingly enough, I never told anyone about that. Might have told Freda. And I belong to this organization called Mended Heart. Mended Heart. Mended Heart. Excuse me. Mended Hearts. And when you join that organization, you're supposed to give tell your experiences. So I mentioned that, and as soon as I was finished, this guy jumped up out of his chair. And he came up, and he said, "I want to shake your hand."
Hmm.
He said, "I had that same experience,
Hmm.
exactly the same." And no one would believe me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
finally, I have confirmed that this actually happens.
Hmm.
Then, if you remember, um, um, memory,
It's all right.
our friend, Happy Living,
Yeah.
what's his name?
Talking about Plunkett?
No, Happy Living. Not Happy Living, but which
Frank Shankwitz.
Frank Shankwitz.
Yes.
Frank Shankwitz,
Who's the founder of Make-A-Wish.
Make-A-Wish.
Yes.
Yeah. He actually was killed in a head-on. He was a highway patrolman,
Mhm.
and so he was killed, and then was brought back to life.
Hmm.
He had the same experience,
Oh, yeah.
seeing that tunnel.
Yeah.
And of course, we became very good. We eventually became very good friends because we hung out and we wore Western wear, hung out in this saloon,
The old Palace
the
Saloon.
old Palace Saloon.
Yes, sir.
And Frank, excuse me, Frank, because he was had become pretty famous. He had a niece that went to Ohio State University.
Hmm.
And she suggested him to be the commencement.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it was gonna be held in the stadium,
Yeah.
20,000 people.
Yeah.
And so he went there, and of course they gave him an honorary PhD. So now he can be called Dr. Frank Shankwitz. And he right as they were taking him to the podium to speak with this huge crowd.
Hmm.
He noticed there was no American flag there.
Hmm.
And so he said, "I requested an American flag. I'd never give a speech without having that flag there with me."
Hmm.
And they said, "Well, we can't bring that flag out because it upsets,
Hmm.
might upset you." He said, "Well, I'll tell you what," and this is right before he's ready to go to the microphone.
Hmm.
He said, "Well, then I'm not giving the speech."
Wow.
And they brought that flag out pretty quick.
There you go. There you go.
So anyhow, we had several things in common. After that, we both had PhDs from Ohio State.
Mhm.
We both had died and came back to life. And he, it was 4 things.
Wrote books.
Oh yeah, we both wrote books, a novel,
Hmm.
book. And I can't think of the other one now.
That's
So
all right.
anyhow, it was interesting. So we became, as I say, very good friends. And he also died of an MI.
Hmm. Is that right? That's how I
Yeah.
finally died.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for that, Dad. So, I'm sorry, Mom, I can only imagine, if I go over to you, I can only imagine how terrifying that day must have been for you, watching the person you've shared your entire adult life with and not knowing if you'd make it through the day. So why don't you take us back to that morning if you can, and tell us what you remember about the fear and maybe even the faith that carried you through it.
I think we act somewhat automatic.
Hmm.
We're on automatic, and we can like that. They took him to the hospital, and I stayed behind to call my children.
Hmm.
And then after I called my children, I drove my car down to the hospital. And to this day, I don't know where it was parked, or whether I turned it off or anything. But
Jeez.
someone brought it back to me, so it was returned. But I just don't remember, you don't remember stuff that you do that day. But it was very, very, very scary. And I've not lost my partner yet, or he hasn't lost me, which way it goes, but it's a big separation.
Mhm. Well, thanks, Mom. I think that's something so many people and other couples can relate to when life forces you to realize just how fragile it all is. After Dad's recovery and getting back to health, what changed in you? Did you start to see your marriage or your days together or even the smallest things differently?
Are you talking to me?
Yep.
Well, certainly after a shock like that, you do re-goal set and rethink what your life is going to be. But it also makes you appreciate life, makes you realize life can be taken away in the snap of your finger.
Yep.
And so I think that as far as planning, we had already raised our babies and he had already had all his degrees and we were retired. So as far as planning, I think we just thought that, well, we would do things together and travel or whatever we could do.
And you did. I mean, the last 28 years, you've done more things together. Part of it has to be retirement, but I guess part of it also would be the fact that this happened, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Dad, back to you. How did nearly dying and then living again change the way you love Mom? Did it give you a new appreciation for her and for the remaining days that you have together?
Well, I've always loved her. And so it just strengthens your love and wants you to spend more time, which we did, as you know. We traveled all over the world together to see our children and to go back to home to our outlet and also she seemed to me like she was, I think you mentioned that, she started doing more things for people. She was more conscious of our marriage. And she always treated me with a lot of respect and love, but she actually showed it more.
Well, good. Well, so let's go over to you, Mom. How about you? How did Dad's heart attack change your love for him? And so, because they say sometimes after walking through the valley of death, that love can grow quieter, deeper, and even more tender. Would you say that's been true for the two of you?
Yes, I was, but it makes you want to do everything you can for that person because you appreciate life more.
Yeah, very good. All right, guys, we'll wrap this section up. You've both lived through more than 70 years of love, but this one in 1997, the year of second chances, feels especially sacred. You both learned firsthand how fragile life is, how fleeting time can be, and yet how powerful love becomes when you honor each day and each other as a gift. So I'd like to end this section with a simple question. How do you both stay grateful right here, right now, in the moment for the second chance of time that you've been given with each other? Mom, let me start with you.
Well, I'm not quite sure how to answer that. Repeat it.
How do you stay grateful right here, right now, in this moment for that second chance that you've been given?
Well, partially, you do it automatically, But I actually work very hard to use that saying, see, expectation, don't have more expectation than you have gratification. I try to live by that. I'm not saying I'm doing a good job, but I try to live. I think now that I'm older, I care more what my family sees in me, so I want to do everything right.
Yeah. And you're referring to the quote, the days that my gratitude is higher than my expectations, those are really good days. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Dad, how about you? How do you stay grateful right here, right now, in the moment for that second chance that you were given 28 years ago?
Well, one of the things I do, as you know, is I started writing essay, and I've felt that with whatever time I have left, first of all, I'm gonna spend more time with my mother, or with your mother, and I'm going to do some volunteer work, which I did. I became very active with Lions International, which your mother got me into, and I became very active with the American Legion, and now I'm a life member of the American Legion, and so I just feel a very strong urge to do what I can to make this world a better place and to make life better for people.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, very good. All right. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Thank you for sharing all that with us. It's so clear that the real miracle wasn't just survival or each sunrise, as we wrote in the poem, but it was the transformation. The miracle is the way it changed how you live now, with faith, with your gratitude, and with such deep love. And that's what makes your 70 years together truly extraordinary.
Kits for Kids are materials handed out by first responders to children during emergencies. The goal of distributing these kits is to mitigate the emotional trauma children experience during distressing events. These kits also help foster positive interactions between first responders and children, building trust and reducing anxiety. These kits feature toys and activities for children to engage with, providing distractions and stimulation. Models of first responder vehicles help children familiarize themselves with emergency personnel. Additionally, the kits include noise-canceling headphones and raincoats to help comfort children during distressing events. You can directly support Kits for Kids in several ways, including donating directly or sponsoring fundraising, volunteering your company for team building, or referring a law enforcement or first responder department to receive kits. Thank you for your support. Please visit www.wytv7.org for more information.
All right, so now as we move into the final chapter of our conversation, I want to shift from what was to what is and to what will continue long after. So this last part we're calling the legacy, a love that lives on. Because after 70 years of marriage, your story has become more than a love story. It's a living legacy. You've built a family that spans generations. You've lived through seasons of joy and loss. You've taught us what faith, perseverance, and grace really mean. As you may remember, back when we celebrated your 60th wedding anniversary, I wrote a poem called This Great Big Love. So today, I'd like to revisit it, not to change its heart, but to let it grow alongside the years that you've added since then. So here's the revision, written with all the love and gratitude your entire family feels for you today. So this is called This Great Big Love Revisited. 60 years came and went, and still you remain, two hearts entwined through sunshine and rain. The laughter, the tears, the memories you've made, 70 years, your legacy displayed. You've shown us that love is a choice made each day in the small acts of kindness, in the words that you say. Through moves and milestones, through thick and through thin, you taught us that love is where lasting devotion begins. From Tick Ridge to Brook Ridge, your story's been told, a tapestry woven with courage of gold. Each child, each grandchild, and each great-grand's face reflects your example of steadfast grace. You've seen birth and death, the bitter and sweet, yet your faith made both sacred, every win, every defeat. The world keeps on changing, but one truth holds true. Love grows even stronger in souls like your two. So here's to your journey to life's holy art, to the family you've built, to the love you impart. It began with two hearts, a promise from above, and it lives on forever. Your great big love. And speaking of the family you've built, here's what your great big love has created so far. In alphabetical order, we did this. Adam, Adrian, Alicia, Angela, Brooklyn, Charlotte, Chris, Cooper, Danny, Eli, Emily, Gary, Isabella, Jake, Janelle, Jasmine, two Jeffs and a Juniper, Kayleen, Corey, Kyle, Leland, Linda, Logan, Mallory, three Marks and a Matt, Melody, Merritt, and three Mikes, Neil, Noah, Owen, Paige, Sabrina, Sarah, Shay, Sydney, and Talia. Wow, that's a great big family, Mom and Dad. And you know what? When I was preparing this episode, I noticed something really beautiful. When I wrote down the names of everyone your love has brought into this world, every child, every grandchild, every great-grandchild, and all the in-laws too, I counted 44 names in all, 44 reflections of your great big love. And we just noticed, talking with you yesterday, Dad, that 44 is your high school number. That's a little ironic. So 44 reflections of your great big love. And then I did something fun. I said, let's take all those letters, the first letters of each name, and we created something that I call the golden compass. It's a hidden message that your love quite literally spelled into existence. So when we arranged all those letters, every single one of them, first letter of each name, and using no other letters, they form this blessing. It says, a blessed golden compass joining people to peace, kind moments, and magical milestones. So it's almost as if your great big love itself wrote that message for us, because that's exactly what you've been doing for 70 years. You've been a golden compass guiding this family with faith and love through every season of life and pointing us all toward peace, kindness, and magic. So that's the legacy, a golden compass of love, guiding hearts towards love for generations to come. So Mom and Dad, from all of us, your great big family, and so many great friends too, we all celebrate your great big love. It's not just about the years, it's about the way you've lived them. Mom and Dad, your story is proof that love doesn't fade with time, it deepens. Through every season, every loss, every second chance, you've built something that will outlive us all. And that's your legacy, a great big love that lives on. So as we close this chapter, marking 70 years of marriage, I'd love to ask each of you to share a message for your children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. What do you most hope that we remember about love, about life, and about what it truly means to be always together? Dad, what a message that you can give to your family about constant change and always remaining together?
Well, I think it's very, very important to anticipate that things will change.
Mhm.
And prepare yourself as best you can, and to always have a spirit of wanting to help other people and do your best to contribute to society, whatever it is, a little, something you might think that's unimportant. But if you think it might help someone, do your best to make that known. And to always consider your family to be a rock that has to be like a rock.
Mm.
That's your composition, and it's just important to always do what you can to let your family know that's how you feel.
Mm. Very good. How about you, Mom? How's that thought coming along?
What I want to say, and I mentioned earlier that the generations to come, you may not agree with your grandmother on these things, but this is how I lived, and this is what I honestly believe. When I got married, then my husband was the person that brought us all together. He was the rock, like I used to say, okay? But I believe that you have to put your marriage, your husband before everything else, including children, okay? These you can't neglect, but I think that to have your love last, you do have to feed it and nurture it.
Yeah, very good. All right. Thank you, Mom and Dad. I love you. Love you. And friends, thank you for supporting our mission and for sharing these stories of inspiration and purpose. My parents' story reminds us that real significance isn't about wealth or fame or power. It's about love, a great big love that keeps growing day by day and generation after generation. Through every hello and every goodbye, my parents found a way to stay rooted in the one thing that never changed, their love for each other. And perhaps that's the greatest lesson they've left us all. Constant change, always together. This season finale isn't just another story, it's a gift from my parents, Paul and Freda Gersper, to us all. And my friends, I also want to thank you for your generous donations to WYTV7. With your support and their tireless work, lives are being transformed and your love is reaching others. So donate today. It'll do good and it'll make you feel good too. And finally, dear friends, I love you and I want you to find your great big love too. So go to happyliving.com right now and click unlock here. It could be the first step to unlocking the life that you were meant to live, a life like my parents have lived, one that's filled with purpose and joy and love. And as you begin unlocking, think about what we can do together, you and me, to improve the happy of your world, one person at a time. Till next time, I'm Matt Gersper. You are awesome. And this is the Something Significant Show. And Mom and Dad, we made it. We're out.